They said if you hadn't tasted Ama's jollof rice, you hadn't really lived. Every corner of Lagos whispered her name. Some called her food magic, while others said it healed broken hearts. Here. But one thing was certain. Ama's food joint was no ordinary eatery. Located in a crowded busy street in the heart of Lagos, this small restaurant drew crowds like bees to honey. People came from all over just to get a plate of her legendary jollof rice and a bowl of her fairy pepper soup. The food was so delicious that once you tasted it, you wouldn't want to eat anywhere else. The aroma of spices and herbs spread through the air, enticing passers-by to come in and sample the culinary delights within. The restaurant was run by a kind-hearted woman named Ama. She was a chubby, middle-aged woman with a face that always wore a smile and her hands a gentle touch. Her skin had a deep brown like roasted peanuts, and her eyes carried a kindness that made everyone around her feel welcome. She had been running the restaurant for over 12 years, and her customers loved her for her generosity and hospitality. Ama's kitchen was a place where people from all walks of life came together to share a meal and forget their troubles. People would go out of their way just to get a plate at Ama's kitchen. Taxi drivers changed their routes. Site workers planned their lunch break around her opening time. Even folks who had their own favorite food joints were not left out. Women like Auntie Bisi or Uncle Sam that does not even like eating street food suddenly started saying, "Let me just try it once and see what all this feels is all about." But once they tasted it, they became hooked and always come back for more. And that's what made it all strange. It wasn't just about the flavor, though her food was full of it though. At first, people thought maybe she used some secret spice. Maybe it was a rare pepper from the hills or a magical mix of herb that made every bite unforgettable. But no one had ever seen Ama buying ingredients. Other food vendors would rush to Amy Market every morning, arguing over fresh tomatoes, smelling fish, or even bargaining over onions and pepper. But Ama, no one ever saw her there. She didn't carry any baskets or drag with traders. Still, her food never finished. Even when her small shop was jam-packed from sunrise to sundown, there was always a hot, fresh batch ready, as if the pots refilled themselves. Other restaurants would close early when they ran out, but not in Ama's pot though. There was always stew bubbling, rice steaming, and soup hot and waiting. Yet, no one had ever seen her cook. You could hear sounds of clang of spoons, the hiss of frying oil, even the bubbling of stew. But if you look inside the kitchen, she was never there. Still, no one asked questions, because once you had had that first spoonful of her food, something changed. And in Amy Junction, life moved too fast for anyone to stop and think about how strange it all really was. Even the boys and girls who worked there, everybody was just running around with trays, serving foods, clearing plates. They didn't know either. Nobody bothered to dig deeper. As long as the food kept coming, nobody cared. The atmosphere was lively, with her customers laughing and chatting over plates of steaming hot food. Then one day, a young university student named Okon applied for a job at Ama's kitchen. Okon was struggling to pay his school fees, and the job at the restaurant was a godsend. As he worked at the restaurant, Okon noticed that there was something strange about the way Ama cooked. The food never ran out, and the customers never stopped coming. No matter how many people came in, Ama would simply smile and say, "Don't worry, I have enough food for everyone." And somehow she always did. Okon wondered what Ama's secret ingredients was, but whenever he asked, everyone would just smile and tell him it's none of their business. The other staff members seemed to be under some sort of spell, working tirelessly without complaint. They would whisper to each other in low tones, and Okon would catch some lines of conversation that didn't make sense to him. And one night, Okon decided to sneak into the kitchen and see what was going on. He waited until everyone had gone home, and then he tiptoed back into the kitchen. What he saw shocked him to the core. Ama was cooking with a strange liquid that looked like urine. Okon was horrified and ran out of the kitchen, determined never to set foot in the restaurant again. He couldn't shake the image from his mind, and he wondered how Ama could do such a thing. But as the days went by, Okon still found himself craving Ama's food more and more. He tried to resist, but his body seemed to have a mind of its own. He could dream about the jollof rice and pepper soup and wake up with his stomach twisting with hunger. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and went back to the restaurant. Ama welcomed him back with a warm smile, and Okon knew he was hooked. "Okon, my boy, I've missed you," Ama said, as she ladled out a plate of steaming hot food. "Come, eat and forget your troubles." Okon sat down, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. The food was just as delicious as he remembered, and he devoured it in minutes. But as he ate, Okon couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He felt like he was under some sort of spell, and he didn't know how to break it. He looked around at the other customers, wondering if they felt the same way, but they all seemed happy and content, laughing and chatting over their meals. Desperate to break the spell, Okon visited an old herbalist in a remote village. The herbalist listened to Okon's story and nodded with sympathy. "You are cursed," the herbalist said. "Ama's food is not ordinary. It is bound by something unnatural, and you've fallen under his hold," said the herbalist. Okon's stomach rolled as the herbalist continued. "Her urine is not just urine. It's a binding spell. A spell that ties the soul of whoever that consumes it." Okon felt a chill run down his spine. He had never imagined that Ama's food was cursed. The herbalist explained that Ama's spell was powerful. It had affected many people, and it could be hard to break. But the herbalist was determined to help Okon. He gave Okon a potion to drink and told him to come back the next day. Okon took the potion and left the herbalist's house. He felt a sense of hope that he hadn't felt a long time. He knew that breaking the curse wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to try. Then the next day, Okon went back to the herbalist's house. The herbalist examined him and said, "The potion is working. You are starting to feel better." And Okon nodded, feeling a sense of relief. He was starting to feel like himself again. The herbalist told Okon that he needed to investigate Ama's kitchen further. He needed to find out more about the cause and how to break it. Okon agreed and went back to the restaurant. As he walked, Okon observed Ama's behavior. He noticed that she never ate her own food. She would cook and serve it to others, but she never touched it herself. Okon realized that this was the key to breaking the curse. Okon came up with a plan. He would pour some of Ama's pepper soup into her bottle and then wait for her to drink it. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to free himself and the other customers from Ama's spell. The next day, Okon put his plan into action. He poured some of Ama's pepper soup into her bottle and then waited for her to drink it. When she finally took a sip, she vanished and the restaurant fell into chaos. The customers were shocked and scared. Some of them ran out of the restaurant, while others stood frozen in shock. Okon felt a sense of relief. He had broken the curse and he knew that things would never be the same again. In the weeks that followed, people struggled to eat properly. Restaurants across Lagos were empty, and no matter what they tried, no other food satisfied them. It was like their bodies had forgotten what real food tasted like. But slowly, painfully, the spell began to wear off. Their appetites returned, and food tasted normal again. People started to go back to their favorite restaurants, and life returned to normal. However, Ama's kitchen remained closed, abandoned and mysterious. The story of Ama's kitchen spread throughout Lagos. People whispered about the cursed food and the mysterious woman who had cast the spell. Some people were scared while others were fascinated. As time went on, people began to realize the importance of being cautious about what they consumed. They learned to appreciate the value of good food, but also to be aware of the potential dangers. The story of Ama's kitchen became a cautionary tale, reminding people to be mindful of what they ate and drank, and also the dangers of addiction, because many of them became so addicted to Ama's food that they couldn't eat anything else or anywhere else. They had lost control over their own bodies, and it took a lot of effort for them to break free from the spell. In the end, Okon was held as a hero. He had broken the curse and freed the people from Ama's spell. He had learned a valuable lesson about the importance of being cautious and mindful, and he had shared the lesson with the world. Years later, people would still talk about Ama's kitchen. They would whisper about the mysterious woman and the cursed food. They would tell stories about Okon, the brave young man who had broken the curse and freed the people. Okon knew that he would always be grateful for the experience, and he would never forget them in a hurry. The story of Ama's kitchen would continue to be told and retold. Thank you for watching this story from the heart of our culture. If it moved you, inspired you, or taught you something new, don't forget to like, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more unforgettable tales. This is African Stories, where stories come alive. See you in the next one. Bye!